Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with you 3 tips to deal with your emotions in a healthy way. Personally, in the past, even I have had troubles dealing with my emotions. And the 3 tips that I'm going to share with you today have helped me enormously to better deal with my emotions. And I hope they will do the same for you. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. Tip number 1. What we need to understand is that there is a regular pattern to our emotions. You see something, or someone says something to you, or something else happens, and there you go. Some or the other emotion flares up inside you, and you are no longer in your own control. Once the emotion has set in, then you are more or less in an autopilot mode. And in this autopilot mode, you end up saying and doing a lot of things that you wouldn't have otherwise done. But unfortunately, it is only after the emotion has subsided you realize what you have said or done. Have you experienced something like this? My take would be yes. I know that I have been in several such instances where I was literally out of control. But think about this. What if we could get to ourselves before our emotions did? And that is where this strategy, this tip comes in. You need to identify your emotional triggers, the things that put you into an emotional state. It could be situations, it could be words, it could be people, or it could be anything else. But if you can successfully identify your emotional triggers, then you can take better control of your emotional process. Let me give you a personal example. I now understand that I can get angry. There's a possibility that I can get angry if there is some injustice happening around me. Like for instance, at work, someone tries to boss a junior employee in an unfair manner. I really do not like that. So in the past, these were the instances where I would get angry and I would then confront the person who was dealing in an unfair manner. But in a lot of these cases, the confrontations did not go as per plan because I myself was not in a great state of mind. Why? Because I was angry and I did not even know that. But now I know and I understand that this is a trigger for me. I know that I might get emotional if something like this happens. So I'm better prepared now to handle these situations in a much smoother manner. Why? Because I know that I might get angry. And if I get angry, then there is a very high chance that I would be working against myself. All of us have several emotional triggers like this. We must work towards identifying them and taking a note of them, so that the next time they occur, we would be aware that there is an emotional storm which is going to come up and we are better prepared for it. Now, let's move on to tip number 2. The first tip was about preempting, about seeing whether we can do something about our emotions even before we have had them. But what if we are already in an emotional state and we have no clue what to do about it? This is where tip number 2 comes in. You take a piece of paper and start writing down whatever you are feeling, whatever that is going in your head, you write it down. Now, you might say that you are not a writer and you cannot write even to save your life. And I understand. But it is not about the quality of the writing over here. When we are in an emotional state, any emotional state, we really do not know what is happening to us. Why are we in this state? What is it that is keeping us there? And what is it that we want? We don't know any of it. We do not have a clear idea of our mental situation. And this is where writing comes in. The process of writing facilitates us to better understand our mental situation. By putting things on a piece of paper, you will enable yourself to look at what is it that you're feeling. You would be much better off if your feelings, if your emotions are on a piece of paper, as opposed to residing somewhere hidden inside your head. This is how I do it normally. This is the sequence of questions that I ask myself when I begin the writing process. Question number 1, what caused you to feel this emotion? I try and answer this question as clearly as possible. Question number 2, do I want to stay in this emotional state? If yes, why? Or if no, then why? Question number 3, How can I get out of this emotional state? I try to answer these questions as clearly as possible. Sometimes it's just a couple of sentences that I write, but sometimes I write paragraphs explaining my state of mind to myself. Now, these questions might sound very simple, but trust me, by asking yourself these questions and writing answers for them and then analyzing the answers, by doing this, you would be able to understand yourself emotionally in a much better manner. You would be surprised to see the results that you get. I have experienced it personally, and I know the wonders that it can do. Now, let's move to tip number 3. Tip number 1 was about how you can be better prepared for your emotions. Tip number 2 was about what you can do when you are in an emotional state. How can you get out of it? How can you best deal with it? But tip number 3 is about something which is much broader. It is about how you can improve the emotional quality of your life. I want you to think about a bad situation that happened in your life. Something bad that you encountered in your life. It could be anything. Yes, it could be anything. Any one of the things that have popped up in your head. Now, after you have selected that one situation, think about how it makes you feel. Not very good, right? In fact, there's a very high chance that you would be feeling the exact same emotions that you had felt when you were in that situation. Strange, right? What do we learn from this? We learn that our emotions, our feelings are directly related to our focus. If you focus on something bad, something that is not in your control, you are bound to get into a negative emotional state. You are bound to feel negative emotions. But if you focus on the positives, if you focus on growth, if you focus on forward movement, then you are bound to feel positive emotions. So I want you to be aware. I want you to be aware of the things that you are focusing on. Always be on the lookout. Think of your focus as you think of your toddler. Like you are always on the lookout to see if your toddler is picking up something that she shouldn't. You also should be always on the lookout to see if you are thinking or if you are focusing on something that you shouldn't focus on. When you start doing this, you might notice that most of the things that you are focusing on, they are bound to put you into an emotional state which is negative. It is no wonder that you are always in some or the other sort of emotional turmoil, because the things that you are focusing on are always going to facilitate that emotional state. But don't worry, now that you have understood it, you can always steer clear your mind away from these things and towards the things that you want to really focus on. The things that will create a better emotional state, a positive emotional state. Thanks for staying with me till the end of this video. In summary, the 3 tips are: tip number 1, identify your emotional triggers. Tip number 2, when you are in an emotional state, use the process of writing to better understand your mental situation. Tip number 3, your focus determines your feelings. So make sure that you're focusing on the right things, the things that put you in a good emotional state. Now, I would love to know which of these 3 tips you like the most and which is it that you are going to use first. Do comment below and let me know. And if you haven't done already, hit subscribe, because I will be uploading many similar videos which talk about emotions and how to handle them better in the coming days. And I want you to get notified when I do that. Have a good day and a great life. Until next time, this is your friend John signing off.